I'm gonna go watch TikToks. Come on, man. ChatGPT, come on, bro. Help me out.
So you said yesterday you're not a developer. What are you?
So even though I develop code and I develop hardware, I don't think I belong in the developer category. So I'm a researcher. That's the official term. I work in robotics for agriculture, so I do research on that topic. My field of work specifically is in agricultural manipulators for harvesting and pruning, monitoring agricultural fields like vineyards, and projects in IoT, not just robotics. We have sensing stations on the field for bug detection. So if there's some plague, some bug that will affect crops, we can detect it.
I guess you're more in academia anyway, but in the non-academic world, research and development is the same thing, and obviously everyone is a developer. But here you talk about maturity rates and
We have our product, right?
yeah.
We still develop a product, but we don't sell it commercially like a company would. We don't sell services, we don't sell hardware. What we do is we develop a prototype, we develop a product, and that product will have a maturity rate.
Mhm.
And once it reaches a certain maturity rate, we have we're developing this product with other partners. What we do is we transfer the technology to them, and they do whatever they seem fit with it.
And is there like a specific point where you're saying, okay, this is good enough to actually go to someone? What's the maturity level scale?
So the maturity level scale, we call it TRL. That's what I mean by maturity level. It's a scale from 0 to 9, and it depends on the state, on how much testing you've done, if you've demonstrated it. If other people have tested it on the field, it also counts for that maturity level, not just you testing.
Yeah, I honestly I've never heard of it before. Yeah, as you can tell, I haven't really been in research or anything since I left uni. So
Yeah, yes, and there are also different types of research. So our research, we also develop. Not all research develops. We don't want to make science and just leave it at that. We also want to make technology, want to join both technology and science. So other research centers probably won't care about this maturity of their product. Most of our robots are developed from scratch, from us. So we care about this.
the thing I remember, I had a Greek friend from Nottingham, and he was working at the university there, and he was doing his PhD. And I remember he was doing research for Internet of Things back in like 2017, something like that. And it was very theoretical. He had his research group, and at the end, he delivered a concept, but obviously it wasn't like a product, like you're saying. It was very cool. He had like this whole diorama with Warhammer
Mhm.
models, and everything had an RFID chip, and he could use some visualization technology thing to put special effects on it and make it look like there was a battle and everything. And I think that's kind of where he left it. It wasn't like it was packaged as a product to actually ship it to
Mhm.
anyone. Is it specific to your field also that you have to produce something because you're doing with agriculture and checking things, or could you
So
do it theoretically?
we yes, we also do it theoretically, mostly in simulations. We also do a lot of simulations. So I've done research where I've written a paper, I've published it, and it ended there. So I made the simulation, I made one or two real environment tests, and it just I didn't continue with it. It really depends on who's financing you, really.
I see.
Because the money just doesn't appear. Someone needs to finance you. Either it's a partner, either it's a national project or European project, and they expect certain types of results. And if the results can be just theoretical, that's fine. The thing on my field is I can't just do the development. I need to do the research. Yeah, there's a lot of times where my research was mainly theoretical, and I just validated it with simulation. You can say it's a real environment. It's theoretical because it might work perfectly in the simulation, and in real life it won't work at all. And that happened as well. It's really annoying when that happens because you have to change everything. Like everything you did in simulation, the code, in the control system that you developed, you have to change everything because there's you missed some dynamic, you missed some joint friction, and it just breaks everything. It's really annoying when that happens.
So, like, because you said the wrong joint friction, is it that delicate that you
Yes,
miscalculate something?
some are when, for example, a manipulator, when he's moving a lot, eventually the lubricant on the joints will degrade. After a lot of days of use, you have to put it again. So imagine you're on the field, he's on the field, he's picking grapes, and you forgot to put lubricant on the joint, and your control system is made for that specific friction and dynamic of the joint to work smoothly. He won't be able to do the movement properly. There's control systems with AI, and there's also classic control methods that can also adapt to it. But I'm not really a fan of either of those, so I prefer to just do a thing that's called optimal control, where you just develop a control system considering the worst case scenario. I'm not a really big fan of AI, honestly.
I know pretty much everyone I've had on, we've been speaking about AI, but on a completely different level. Like in your field, what does AI actually mean? The higher tolerances, the ability to adjust, or.
We use a lot of AI. It's really useful. Use it mostly on image detection, image classification. For example, grapes with a manipulator. You can see, okay, there's a grape there, there, and there. You calculate, then your system calculates the 3D points and the trajectory, and you go and pick them. So when it's used in image detection, I like it. I like that kind of AI. Image classification, also I like it. You see grapes, it tells you the maturity level of the grape, like it's green, it's ripe, it's good to pick. So I like that kind of AI. The AI that we don't use as much, it's really used in research. You find thousands of published articles about it. In my opinion, it's not that good in practice. It's AI that controls the whole system. So you have an AI that moves the robot from point A to point B. That kind of AI, I'm not really a big fan. I'm not saying because it doesn't work, because it does work. Okay, just to be clear, it does work, but you lose control over it. Sometimes you need to do some fine tuning, some just a small adjustment, and you can't do that with AI. You have to retrain the model again from scratch, or you can, depending on the type of model, you can take that model and train on top of it.
The main thing is the AI you're describing is actually quite cool because that's why I asked in your field what does it mean, because I get the image recognition and everything. It's not like you're all using it to vibe code with or to, I don't know, generate text.
We use it for code, so we do use that. I use that a lot. It just makes my work easier. I also teach. I also give classes, and the classes I give is programming. It's C++ for the at the first year of university
Oh
in
god.
electrical and computer engineering. The students obviously don't know how to program, and they have access to ChatGPT. So they have the report to do, they have the work that they need to do, and they just take a picture of it. If it's on a paper, they take a picture of it, put it on ChatGPT, and it gives them the answers correctly. And that's my issue with it, because people aren't learning. And I've heard the argument before of, oh, in the past you also didn't have Google, and then Google came, and it's probably the same thing. And it's not the same thing, because yeah, sure, in the past you had to go to the programming books, to like C++ books, look up the functions and figure out, right, do some research yourself. Then Google came, and now you search your problem, you go to Stack Overflow, for example, you see people with similar problem, and you see the solutions. But you still need to think, okay, how can I apply this to my specific problem? And reading the solution, you also learn a bit. Which ChatGPT you just put there, it doesn't work, you put there again, oh, it doesn't work, please fix. And you don't learn anything with it. In my case, ChatGPT is beneficial because I already knew how to program. And so when he gives me an answer, I can see that it won't work. And simultaneously, I also learn with it. For example, I don't know if you ever heard of the robot operating system, ROS.
No.
Well, it's a framework that's used a lot in robotics. It gives you the bridge between your software and your robot. And there's some functions there that you need to create other functions, callback functions, for example. And I know how to do this. I already knew how to do this. It's one of those things that you repeat a lot of times, and that you just go to other code and copy paste into your code sometimes. So I just went to ChatGPT, hey, make me this, please. And he made it in a very particular way that I was all like, huh, interesting. And I didn't know you could do this, and now I do that by myself, so I learn with it. And the thing with people starting with ChatGPT existing is that they don't learn, and I see this. This isn't a theory. I actively see this happening. But the thing that university essentially teaches everyone in general is how to think. It's how to think critically. It teaches you how to learn, essentially. And with ChatGPT, you're losing that completely because they don't need to think anymore. That you give them work to do at home, and they arrive on the class, everything's finished, which normally doesn't happen. Now everything's done perfect. So everyone got smarter, is what you're telling me? No, of course not. They're using ChatGPT. They just put everything there. And how do I prove this? I don't have the time to go and ask every single one of them, yo, explain this to me. How did you do this? I don't have the time for that.
Yeah, and like you said, when I first went into uni, I remember like this great businessman I was talking to. He was telling me that university is important because it's a proof of smartness. And I wouldn't necessarily call it smartness, but it's like you said, you show that you're diligent enough and you can solve problems enough to actually
Mm-hmm.
finish something. And even in uni, we had modules that they were pretty brutal. And in a graphics thing, essentially we had to build this interface and 3D model renderer with C++ and OpenGL without using any other libraries. And 97% of the class failed it. Like, generally, only 3 out of the 100 kids,
Mm-hmm.
we passed it. And barely. I'm not saying that's a learning experience in the sense that we know how to write C++, but it was a learning experience that some problems are actually really fucking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But if everyone's used with ChatGPT, you wouldn't necessarily understand the intricacies of actually why do we need libraries, how
Yeah.
is rendering actually done, and even with more stupid industries like web dev, so like we had people going into like JavaScript bootcamps for a couple of months and saying, "Oh, I'm a front-end dev now." Now it's even worse because you don't even get the bootcamp. You just have someone with ChatGPT and saying, "Oh, I'm a dev now."
Yeah. It's annoying. And on that work that you had on university, that was really hard. On those situations, honestly, I don't care if they use ChatGPT. Actually, I don't care in general if they use ChatGPT or not. My issue is that they just they get the result, copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
They don't try to see why that worked. They don't try to learn with it. They just use it as a means of, okay, I need to do this. Here, ChatGPT, fi- figure it out.
Yeah, I completely get it. And I was mentoring the student on her final year a couple of years ago, and she had to do this library in C++ and R because it was all about data engineering and data science.
Mhm.
And the way she was using ChatGPT, it was literally brute forcing a C++ library into existence with random
Mhm.
copy paste. Everything didn't make any sense whatsoever. And then when she gave me the code to review it, I couldn't even read it because it was just such a mess. So it could do like one of the three things Sin needed to achieve, fine. But for the rest, that code was completely unusable. And
Yeah,
it was also the earlier versions of ChatGPT then. So it's not like you could have loaded the whole fucking function and then
yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah.
okay, use this.
It scares me. Like, okay, I see this problem in coding and engineering. I can imagine like people in medical school using my future doctor using ChatGPT to cheat.
Yeah.
Come on, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Eventually it's going to happen because you're not going to have enough doctors to just be picky whoever's in like the fucking village in the
Exactly.
mountains.
You're going to need the every kind of doctor, right?
Yeah.
So a doctor that uses ChatGPT that's not that smart, well, he's a doctor, and we need doctors, so better than no doctor. I
I
get
mean,
it.
even without ChatGPT, it has happened with development. We're running out of people being able to write C++, C, and all those languages we have in infrastructure everywhere.
We're at a point of no return. We have ChatGPT. If ChatGPT shuts down, you have DeepSeek. If that shuts down, some other thing will come. So, and they're not going to shut down. I'm not saying they're going to shut down, but if in another universe they shut down, there's always going to be another. We're at a point of no return. So I think that there should people that are in charge should start applying some mythology to contradict this, to make students to make them think again. Even though I use a lot of ChatGPT to help me in coding, I do use it, and in writing as well. Like I don't tell him to write everything. Sometimes I write a paragraph. I'm looking at it. I'm not an English native speaker. I write in English. I don't have a degree in English, and I'm like, can this get better? Can I make this better? And I put it in ChatGPT. My students do use it to write an entire report, not just code, just written report. And the reports are in Portuguese.
Hmm.
And what happens, unfortunately, is on the internet the default Portuguese is Brazilian Portuguese, and they don't care. They just please give me write this, and they just copy paste it in Brazilian Portuguese, and you can instantly see because of expressions or certain words that doesn't exist in Portugal Portuguese. From Brazilian Portuguese to Portugal Portuguese, it's not subtle. You can really tell. It's really bad.
And it's really funny because what you're saying is very close to my heart. My girlfriend's an English teacher, and she's teaching middle school. So kids
Mhm.
between 12, 15 usually. The kids don't speak any fucking English whatsoever. And when they
Yeah.
have take home assignments, it's all just GPT. And then, in the class, they cannot formulate a sentence in like present simple. But then when it's at home, it's just like this perfect text.
Yeah, they don't learn. Whenever their head starts hurting from learning, nah, I don't want it. I want to go watch TikToks. Come on, man. ChatGPT, come on, bro. Help me out.
You've dropped some hints, but how did you end up being a researcher and teacher, professor?
Okay, so my master's degree was done on a research center, and the teachers are the researchers there. And so I found that kind of work interesting, and I saw the environment there. It was like a big space, open space with desks and the robots on the sides, and I really enjoyed that. And I told my thesis supervisor that I enjoyed that, and he gave me when I finished, he gave me he told me about an opening on another research center on another engineering college where university where I work at the moment. And I said, oh, okay. He just said, okay, the down part of it is you need to do a PhD. Okay, sure, fine. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I just took it then. And then I noticed some of my colleagues there also gave class, and they were at the same level as me. So I went to do that research. How do I give classes? And I learned that I can actually give up to my workplace allows me to give up to 4 hours per week of classes. So I found a position where I work at the university where I do research, and now I give classes there.
Sorry, I have like seven
Yeah.
different questions for you because it's actually really fucking cool. All the people I usually get are very from like the tech industry and nobody from academia. So this is a complete new world to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, So in terms of your specialization too, did you kind of fall into the agricultural robots, or is there something else you would like to work with in the future?
So I like a specific topic, and they're starting to work on that topic there. But I'm so overwhelmed with my current work that I can't join them on that topic, which is drones.
Mm.
I also like navigation. I like sensor fusion, but I didn't have the opportunity to work with that, even though we do have work done in those fields there on the research center.
Again, from your point of view, what's the best way for someone to actually get into all of this? Because it does sound really cool.
You can just apply for it. Sure, you need a college degree, but you can apply for it while taking your college degree. So you still get paid, you have your tuition paid, and you can start from there. And then you can do your master's degree on the research center, and you finish, you get a PhD scholarship, you continue.
And in terms of practical skills, is there like a starter pack like that if you want to get more into embedded systems and robotics? Do you just get an Arduino, or how does that work?
What you do is when you're doing your starting research, like doing a state-of-the-art research to see on your field what already exists, and when you propose a solution, you're going to propose, oh, I want to use this fancy microcontroller, sure. And then you have by yourself to start learning about it. If you're lucky, which actually happens a lot, your colleagues already know how to do it. So you go and ask them for help, they help you. The success of one is the success of the entire laboratory. So we help each other. Where I work, at least, there's no starting kit, there's nothing like that. You learn by yourself or as you're doing your research. It's annoying, but it works well. So you have a slower learning rate, but eventually you're going to get there. You don't need to invest in training, for example, for that. I know most jobs have training. When you start, you have probably a month of training, and then you actually start working or something. We don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, with jobs nowadays, it really depends. Nobody wants to spend any money on training. They just
Yeah, because people skip jobs, they jump jobs, right?
yeah.
On the IT sector, at least, they do a lot of
It's
that.
fine. Like you, essentially, everyone's looking for like seniors who can just jump in and start writing production code within 1 week, and that's even unrealistic for seniors. Or you get like the junior jobs that are 2 year contracts, so they get you right out of uni, and you're kind of stuck with them.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the country as well, because I know Walter, for example, he is now working for the German government, and they have the programs that you learn as you work. So I think the first year is learning and doing different work placements, and then you can actually go into something. So I think there's programs, but overall, as the tech industry, is just like we've been through a couple of crashes with crypto and the whole Silicon Valley thing, now tariffs. Yeah, job hopping is not even that much of a thing anymore, I don't think, because there's just a
Okay.
lot of unemployed people or people getting fired
Yeah, yeah,
for no reason.
yeah,
But on the other hand, it's also you need the training, even because you know I've worked in different developer positions, but how different companies use the same software is completely different. So you always need that onboarding and training. It's just that they still don't want to put budget into it, and you have to decline candidates even if they're like, "Hey, I'm a really good Java developer. I would like to work in your company and your product." Oh, I'm sorry, we need 3 years of C sharp. And to me, it's very stupid, because it's like, if you know how to write Java, you can transition to writing C sharp within like what,
yeah,
two, three
yeah.
months?
Okay, if you have a lot of candidates, and eventually you find one that has that experience, you hire them, sure. But I've actually seen these jobs that have this job position open for months. What happens here is, it probably happens everywhere, is you have a grace period when you start working. Like they have like 2 or 3 months that they can just fire you with no consequence. If they have the job position open for months, they could just hire someone. If he's not good, if he doesn't show good results in 2 weeks, you fire him and keep the job position open. I don't understand what's the deal with not the guy has 3 years of experience. They're asking for 5 years. Really, what's the difference between 3 years and 5 years?
And the experience is also stupid because they don't even look, usually they don't even look for like overall, because let's say in my case I got declined from C sharp positions that needed 3 years of C sharp. I have 3 years of C sharp from 2012 to 2015, and then I work with other stuff because C sharp wasn't paying. But now if you go in and they're like, oh, so you haven't worked with it, and I was like, no, because I was doing other things. And they're looking specifically for X amount of years using those technologies in the last, like, let's say 5 years. Because it's again the same thing that we want someone to go in and be perfect and start working, which is really weird because I was chatting with Jason about this, and he's saying that at their company on the director level, they're saying, oh, with ChatGPT out, let's hire someone more junior, we pay them less, and they can use AI to actually cover the skill gap.
Mhm.
So there's so many different things that don't really make sense in how the market ends up being. And I
I
work with
think
them.
the part of that problem, and this happens in bigger companies, it's actually the HR team that they see, okay, he needs this, and the developers know that a guy with like 2 years less experience might be able to do the job, but HR team doesn't.
Also, you might end up hating
It's
things more. Uh, but another thing that they do, and it's absolutely terrible. In the company I worked at, we were opening a new office in a new location, so we needed more people. And at some point, we lost budget to hire more people, but we left the advertisements open because we
Mhm.
needed to build a CV base so we can actually reach out to people when we get the budget. Or if there was someone very extraordinary applying, they would try and find out the budget. So, on top of everything else, a lot of the jobs on the market might not be real because they're just there for
Yeah.
advertisement.
Okay. Actually, I didn't even think of it. That actually makes some kind of sense. I mean, it's kind of a douchey, it's a douche move because people say, "Oh, they're opening, let's go," and they're not actually open.
I don't want to hate on HR and recruiters, but there's definitely a big training issue with a lot of them. And you see it
Mhm.
when you actually work with a really good recruiter because not only they know their shit, they know what they're looking for and why you're not the right candidate.
Mhm. If you don't have someone that actually knows how the technology works, for example, or how people work with that technology, if you don't have one of those people, at least on the HR team, they don't know because HR teams usually aren't don't have a degree on that on IT. Now at ChatGPT, it's worthless, but they used to give exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would apply, they would give you an exercise, you had to submit the
Oh,
exercise,
they still
and
do.
depending on the score, they still do. I
Yeah,
mean, at
it's
ChatGPT, that's redundant. Everyone just has perfect score. And if you don't use ChatGPT, if you want to be honest, you're just being stupid.
like think of it this way: like I'm still senior dev. I can go on a freelancing platform and make like $100 an hour freelancing. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be easy work, but whatever. Then you go apply to a company because you want to work for them, and the first thing you do is you speak to a recruiter, and they send you a stupid test. If that test doesn't actually show me anything about the work, like it's something about their system, blah blah blah, that gives me an idea if I want to work with it. It's terrible because you are not going to see my
Hmm.
work unless you pay me. And then I also
Yeah.
don't know, what if I do the technical test, which has happened, and I go and speak with the team, and they're a bunch of assholes I don't want to work for. I wasted the
Yeah.
whole weekend building something to work for assholes. It's like, no, it doesn't make sense.
What we do at my workplace, which actually I really like it, is our boss, he gives us freedom. You know, he's not there like checking if everyone's doing everything, checking if everyone's coming in on time, getting out of work at the right hour. He doesn't put a leash on anyone. He's really chill. He trusts us. He treats us like adults, right? He trusts that we have responsibility. I think also he got lucky on the people that he got because if he had other people that might go bad. But the secret for a good workplace is not putting so much a leash on your employees. And if you have that kind of management, I think that people will be less douchebags, be more friendly.
Yeah, I don't know about anyone else watching, but you get to research, actually do something with tech that sounds interesting. Um,
Yeah, and we don't do the same thing over and over. My idea, for example, what you do at your job, you're always working with that topic. I work with different things. I write for the articles. I do hardware. I do software. I do firmware. I teach. It's not monotonous. It's engaging. It's
That's where I struggle really with work because a lot of development has become you're just a code monkey and essentially it's a factory worker with a laptop. Meanwhile, I specialize in APIs, but I like the ability to write documentation, try and sell the product to someone, architecture the solution, try something new. But you never get that, and
Mm.
never. It's rare that you get that. So you have to be the unicorn person for a unicorn role.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's actually one of the things that made me want to go to research over another a normal job.
And this is something I ask everyone. Do you have a dream job or dream role you would like to be?
My dream role is where I work, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I, 'Cause I really enjoy working there. It's like from what people tell me, where they work, they're never hyped about it. And where my laboratory, I'm hyped to work where I work. So, and I want it to be a role where I have a lot of responsibility. You know, like someone needs to talk about this specific project, they come to me. They want to talk about this and that, they come directly to me. You know, I want to be responsible for stuff.
I mean, that was genuinely a refreshing response because everyone else is just like, I want to do something completely different. We've been recording for a bit, and thank you again for coming on. I
Oh,
really enjoyed the
thank you
chat.
thank you for inviting me. I don't usually have the opportunity to talk. I wasn't really hoping that I would be able to talk this much because I'm not really a talkative person. I'm very quiet, so I wasn't really expecting to talk so much.
And
So thank you for inviting me.
generally, it's been great, and you're always welcome back again. But as we're closing, I just want to give the opportunity if you want to plug anything, shout out anything.
Let's see. Shout out to you for this kind of series that you're making. Uh, Shout out to everyone that you and me know simultaneously on the internet that might watch this, and that's it. Really,
Nice. All right then. Thanks again for being on, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
thank you.